Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Panzer Corps II, an upcoming turn-based strategy game and war game that is the sequel to the 2012 Panzer Corps I, which was the sort of modern remake of Panzer General by SSI in the 1990s. While Panzer Corps I felt very much like a true, just almost like a lift and shift on over 20 years in terms of the aesthetics, the gameplay, and a lot, Panzer Corps II is trying to feel a little bit more modern and definitely has a more modern user interface and a lot of other things like that. The game comes out on March 19th. I do have access to a preview version of this or a review version of this. The embargo on it lifted this morning, and so I've been streaming this a little bit earlier today and then also here now. This is going to be the second battle of the Poland campaign. When we looked at the preview version where they kind of gave 12 missions or whatever that you could play through like a month ago, but it was very much not complete yet, we played through the Poland North route, so now we're going through Poland South. We just won the Battle of Poland South relatively cleanly. We had quite a bit of extra prestige. We didn't take a ton of damage. There were some units that are below full strength, but I am sort of learning about how this game works. In all of my playthrough time previously, I've learned that it is cheaper to reinforce your units before a battle than it is during a battle, and so I left those units casualties in place so I can reinforce them as we move into the next battle. I may increase the difficulty. We are currently playing on Colonel difficulty. General difficulty is sort of the middle of the road, but Colonel is where there's no perks or no penalties. If I go up one level, it just gives me a penalty against prestige. It doesn't actually make the enemy better. It doesn't make the AI better. It doesn't make die rolls more challenging or anything like that. It just becomes more difficult to manage resources. And frankly, I'm really bad at managing my prestige resources because I like to do elite reinforcements whenever I can. And so for the moment, I elected to be a little bit more liberal with my prestige. And if we need to change the difficulty, that is something the game lets you do mid-campaign. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump forward to the next battle, which should be the drive on Warsaw, I believe.
Well, Herr General, it appears I finally convinced High Command that a direct drive on the Polish capital is worth any and all risks involved. Perhaps we will meet our deadlines a weeks after all. The last major obstacle between you and your ultimate objective lays in the thick Campinos forest. A few well-entrenched Poles here could slow you down, so be prepared for that potential. Additionally, Kluge's 4th Army has trapped a pocket of Polish troops in the region around Kutno. Luftwaffe bombs have mostly obliterated a poorly organized counterattack from these troops, but now you must occupy Kutno directly. Anything less would just invite our enemies to reorganize and launch an attack on your flank as you approach Warsaw. Once that is settled, I want you to pivot your troops and aim straight for Warsaw. Be prepared for a tough battle clearing the streets of the capital, though. So don't overextend your forces in a race to get there. Destroying the last of the Polish strong points here could deal a devastating blow to enemy morale. So, I recommend timing your thrust into the city to coincide with its destruction. At this rate, we could be back in Germany by October. And I would love to give my report on the end of the Polish campaign to High Command in person. Make it happen, Herr General.
Okay, so it looks like we'll end the briefing here. We did get a hero for our last battle here. It allows units to not surrender, which is a nice little trick if you get surrounded. You can see our units on the left here. Looks like we have a slightly larger core slot, so we started the last battle with a maximum core of 36. Now we're up to 45, so we can expand our forces. We have 2 deployment areas. In the last battle, we didn't actually have to deploy at all. All the units were pre-deployed. In this battle, there's 2 different sections here, one on the right, one on the left. The one on the left is better situated to drive north on the Bzura River bridge up here, and then also on Kutno, which is a supply center up here on the far left. It also looks like Kutno has a railway that plays through it, so I believe that does play a factor in the fact, it is, again, it's a supply city. Lutz is a supply city as well, but I believe if we take Kutno, we'll get better supply support as we move east. So essentially what we need to do, we have 20 turns. We need to drive north across the river at Lowix, and then we need to drive west toward Kutno, and then we also need to drive east toward Bzura. Once we take that, then we drive further east, take an airfield over here in the vicinity of the Bzura River Bridge, So then we can use that airfield to support the attack on Warsaw. Now, Warsaw is defended with a trench line in front of it and some fortifications on one of the flanks, but it does look like we have to take 3 different sections of the city. There's a supply point on the other side of the river of the city. There's a major bridge on the south side of the city, and then there's sort of a city center here a little bit further west. This is going to be a tough fight, I would imagine, given there's a lot of urban combat, there's a lot of heavily dug-in combat, and so artillery and air support are going to be vital in our ability to be successful here. First thing, before we actually go in and we buy any new units or anything like that, we do have quite a bit of prestige that we're carrying forward from the last battle. We have 2,265. It looks like we get 130 prestige per turn. A bonus of 200% is rewarded if the scenario is won on the current turn. Wait, what? With 21 turns left? It will decrease each turn. Okay, so, yeah, we're not going to win it on turn 1, so that seems funny. But apparently you get a bonus based on how quickly you finish the battle. So maybe that does give you extra rewards if you win battles early. All right, so we have the first Pioneers unit here. We are going to spend... so this infantry here, the second Ver, is at full strength. These guys here are almost at full strength. It's actually only going to cost 65 prestige to reinforce them without losing experience, so we'll do that. We're going to also reinforce the 4th Panzer here. Only 21 prestige to reinforce 2 levels of prestige, 27 here for this armored unit. This unit's already at full strength. The Recce car, I don't use it in a ton of combat. You can actually see it's fairly experienced. It's already got a full star here, but I'm going to go with cheap reinforcements, regular replacements, green replacements here. So we still have 421 experience, which is more than a lot of our other units that we're using elite reinforcements on. It's also much cheaper. For the artillery, I'm not really sure. I mean, a 15 prestige difference, I'll guess I'll keep the experience. And then for our air units here, we'll go with elite reinforcements as well. So we're going to have 2 fighter units, and then we'll have the Stuka down here, which I'm also going to go with elite reinforcements. And then we still have 2,000 prestige left for which to sort of expand or do whatever. Because we have so much prestige left, I am going to keep elite reinforcements for this infantry unit here on the top. These are Pioneers. These guys should be very useful in attacking fortified positions, and so that will be helpful. Michael, I know you said the manual says there's no benefit to finishing early, but if we hover over the prestige right here, it very clearly says you get an additional reward in terms of prestige if you win the battle early, and it decreases the further you go in. So I don't know what to tell you other than it says there is a reward. Also, these Panzer 1Bs, I'm going to go ahead and upgrade them. The Panzer 1B is not a very good tank. Panzer 1A is worse. Panzer 2C is better. Let's go to the Panzer 38 TA. It'll only cost us 80 because of the difference in price between the 2 units. So it'll actually only cost us 80 prestige. So we'll do that. Panzer 2C down here. We're also going to do this. So now we've upgraded all of our tanks. Still have 1,700 prestige left. So I actually think a second Pioneer unit would probably be prudent. Maybe even with Opal Blitz. I'm not going to overstrength them, so we'll do that. And then I'm also going to go with... Should we go with Bridging Pioneers? We'll need them eventually. I don't know if we need them today. But we will need them eventually. So we'll go with Bridge Pioneers. That'll add 5 weight to our force. I'd like another artillery piece. Right now I have 75 centimeter or 7.5 centimeter guns. Some of these guys are grayed out. Like maybe I can't buy them. I don't know why this is. I already have a Sturmpanzer. 21 centimeter Mars gun or MRS-18. That's expensive. Whoa. I'd rather just the 105 millimeter. We'll go with the wagon because there's no worry about fuel there. It's also a lot cheaper. This will put us at exactly our max. So we'll do that, and that's our maximum unit size here. Okay, so the Bridge Pioneers we're going to deploy on the left here, because I'm going to put a bridge right here probably to get us across and flanking the local minor river. That's the only river by the looks of it that we have to work. Well, the bridge pioneers could be useful if we want to flank south of Warsaw. Meanwhile, our armor, I'm going to go ahead and put the bulk of our armor on the right flank. We will put one tank unit on the left. We're going to put our recce unit on the left, since presumably that's where we're first going to meet with the enemy. Plus, he can drive to the right and get a good eye on things. I'm going to put all my artillery up front here, because I'm assuming that's... We'll put the mobilized artillery over here. The air units will be on the left as well, because that's probably where we're going to clash with the enemy first. And then our infantry will kind of file in here. These guys could use a truck, so we'll upgrade them. And we'll have a little bit of infantry on the right flank. We're going very heavy on the left, because at the end of the day, I think what I'm really just going to do is I'm going to try and smash across the river here, swing left to Kutno, while we also send some infantry units north to secure the bridge here, and then we'll drive east. This armor is really just going to kind of do some recon and maybe outflank the airfields over here. Okay, so we have 5 victory hexes, these 2, and then the 3 in Warsaw itself. We'll end the deployment phase. Oh, I haven't deployed my heroes. Whoops. Who do I want to give my hero to? We don't want surrender. I guess an armored unit makes sense. Ah! I'm confused. Oh, here's the eye. I was looking for that. Assign a hero, no surrender. There you go. Okay. So that unit can no longer surrender. And then we'll end the deployment phase. Von Blucher, or not Blucher, von Butcher. Alright, these guys. So we'll put a bridge here, I'm guessing. Meanwhile, we should drive this recce up here to scout. We will... I don't think I'm going to be able to get the artillery close enough. Oh, wait. I can already get across the river now because of these bridge guys? Is that really how it works? Huh. Alright, so that armor immediately got to the other side of the river. Okay, we'll move our artillery forward so that it's in range. These guys can actually already hit. Then I can move my air units forward here. I'm going to use the Stuka against this Recon car, because I think that's the most vulnerable to the Stuka. I'll use my strategic bomber against the troops on the bridge. Also, let's swing some armor up in behind the Recon car. We've encircled it now. We've driven it north. The Recon car can finish off the enemy Recon car, and there an enemy unit's destroyed already. Meanwhile, I will move this artillery forward here. The self-propelled guns will go ahead and pound this Polish cavalry out here in the open. I probably should worry about enemy fighters coming in and hitting our Stuka, so I'm gonna strafe these horse with our 109s, but then we'll also move our 109s forward here to guard the Stukas. 1 to 4, 3 to 4. All right, so go with armor here. Drive these guys back, presumably. We didn't even take any real casualties there. Okay. That's a good result. We didn't kill the cavalry, but we did drive them back. And I think that's about all I can do this turn. I mean, I could try and attack these guys. But it's probably best to just wait and pound them next turn. So we'll go ahead and end that. Alright, the enemy fighters coming in to engage our own. We shot them to pieces, 6-2. This time they tried to go at the Stukas. They did damage them a little bit. Enemy cavalry and infantry is encircling our armor here on the left flank. Now, this is not the no surrender armor. Our defenders did a pretty good job there. Enemy Strat bombers there hit our artillery, but it wasn't too bad. I am going to try to finish off both enemy fighter units. Didn't quite finish him off. Alright, so we'll get one of them. So one of those enemy air units is gone. Pound the enemy cavalry with artillery here on the right flank. Move our pioneers up forward here to finish these guys off. Move our recce's forward here to get more eyes on what the enemy might have around us. I don't really want to attack anti-tank guns with armor, so we'll leave these guys as is. We'll shift east next turn. Meanwhile, our Stukas can do what? What do we want them to do? 3 there. Can't reach these guys over here. They can't reach the guys on the right flank, so we'll go hit the cavalry here. Then we'll move our Strat bombers in to hit the troops on the bridge. We'll hit the troops on the bridge with artillery as well. Hit the troops on the bridge again with artillery. Then we'll attack, 6-1. Good results there. We'll drive across with our 2nd Ver Infantry. The enemy's in those woods, and we just destroyed them. Very nice. Okay. These troops will push across the river. I think that armor is no longer surrounded. And these guys will swing up north here. Okay, so we took the river crossing. We can now drive on Kutno with relative ease. Shot down an enemy fighter unit. Destroyed cavalry and recon cars here on the right flank. We have a blocking force in position to protect our drive on Kutno and then the river up north here with 2 armored units and an infantry unit, a recon unit, and some artillery that we can kind of slowly feel against the Warsaw defenses. Michael, what do you mean? I did not adjust RNG, random number combat effectiveness or anything like that. At least I don't think I did. All right, so that'll be the turn, I think, right? 4-2 is not the those are not the attack odds I want. 1-2's not terrible. I should actually move this artillery. I just want these bridge... I don't want these bridge engineers to get attacked. Whoops. Don't want to do that. That just puts them in trucks. I'll pull these guys back across the river, hoping the enemy kind of comes at them. They'll be less vulnerable, I think. Alright, so let's end the turn and see what happens. Enemy aircraft retreat. Fighters come back and try and strafe our recon car. Enemy tanks! Those look like good modern tanks, too. The 7TPJW. Infantry really shot apart our recon car. Almost destroyed it there, drove it back again. Oh, no! There goes our recon unit. That's our first casualty in this war in terms of a destroyed unit. It's a rough one, too. Meanwhile, our infantry spearhead there lost 5 casualties. Pioneers are not good in open fights. Where did their tanks go? Alright, we'll focus on the enemy infantry here with our artillery. Swing our own infantry in behind these guys. I think that's an anti-tank gun, but it must be able to fire in support. Oh shit. There's a large enemy formation here. We've actually got good odds versus this infantry, but it's still a pretty formidable enemy force. Don't want to really attack with those odds. They gained a star. Okay. Thanks for the alert. Alright. Let's pull these pioneers back, send the Ver infantry forward. Ver infantry is obviously much better against enemy enemy infantry. Alright, let's go shoot down that enemy fighter. Come on, finish it off. Finish it off. Yeah, got it. Alright, so 2 enemy fighters are gone. Now we can also use our other aircraft here to go after the enemy bombers here, who have been a little bit annoying. 5, nice. Good results there. Since I've destroyed 2 enemy fighters, I think I can worry less about their fighters, so I think I can just move my own aircraft forward here. Alright, we'll attack those guys, drive them back. 2 to 5. Alright, so I'm not going to bomb them with my Strat bombers because all that'll lose suppression, but I'll go ahead and hit the enemy cavalry here, which would give us a big advantage. Alright, so we drove them back as well. Good results there, driving the line back at Kutno. I don't know if the Brooklyn Pioneers are good for any fighting at all, or if they're literally just good for crossing rivers. Not sure. But we've driven back their left flank and center here in front of Kutno, cavalry and infantry both. Meanwhile, on the right, I don't know, I guess we'll see. I really need to shift my air to the east, probably. But, we'll see. I lost the Recon car. I guess I could buy another one of those. I could use more Recon. This one's actually better at fighting by the looks of it. It's a little more expensive. We'll go ahead and deploy it on the right flank as well to help the forces over there. We'll go ahead and move forward here as we're now back to fully utilizing our core slots. Enemy armor pulled back. That's interesting. Meanwhile, enemy infantry attacked our armor in open field and lost 5-1. I'm okay with those results. Their infantry flanked our pioneers and did a little bit of damage there. More attacks on our armor up there, which were largely ineffective. They attacked our right flank with the second Ver there. I couldn't really tell what the results were. Another attack there. God. They're really good. The AI is very good at focusing its attacks on 1 or 2 units, it seems like. But they're also launching a lot of attacks where they don't have good odds, which I'm not going to complain about. I like that. Nice! We shot down another air unit. The air power is very different than Panzer Corps I. Air power is based out of airfields, and it returns to base at the end of every turn. Whereas in Panzer Corps I, they kind of acted almost like regular units that they could kind of fly around the map as. All right, these pioneers, I don't want to spend a ton on reinforcements. But I will, in this case... 7... I'm using the elite reinforcements on these guys on the right flank, mainly just so they can hopefully withstand another enemy attack, I guess. I'm not quite sure what to expect. All right, let's attack this infantry here. Nice! So we destroyed this infantry unit. It gives us an overrun. So now we'll attack this cavalry. We don't get an overrun there, but we at least drive them back. Infantry will shift north. I completely forgot to use my artillery. I'm going to move these guys Hopefully so they can support against any enemy attacks that may come. I also forgot to use my air units. Because I am a master strategist. Although I'd rather use my air on the right flank here to sort of help solidify our position there. I'm also going to use it over here on this armor. Just to weaken it in the event that we face an enemy attack. Then we'll strafe on our right flank here against these enemy troops over this way. Again, I have to protect against the flank attack from the Burzira River before I can drive on the Kutno formation. Alright, we'll move this armor back, encircle these enemy infantry, inflict 3 casualties on them for no loss. We'll attack these guys again. We didn't force them to surrender, interestingly enough. Finished them off there, though. Move our artillery over this way. I was trying to prevent using the artillery so then I could use it on a follow-on attack, but it looks like I used up all my attacks before I even used the artillery. Certain cities and towns generate supply nomads. So like up here, if you see a circle with half a line through it, those are supply points. So our supply city is Lutz, and then we also have supply cities down here. The airfield also is a supply city. The only Polish supply cities is Kutno over here on the left flank, and then Warsaw has a supply hex over here. Okay. So, if the enemy wants to keep attacking me with infantry in open field against armor, that's perfectly fine with me. We got really good results last turn when they did that. We'll see if their armor returns on the right flank. Meanwhile, the one unit I'm worried about here is the 2nd Wehr, because they could launch 3 attacks with these 3 units against it. But my artillery should hopefully blunt the attack. Their infantry moved in around our armor, surrounded it, but actually they attacked against our mobile artillery, which is not a surprise. Meanwhile, also an attack up here in the north. 2-to-1 results in the Polish favor. They're pursuing our infantry here. The red means they're heavily suppressed and ineffective. And they surrendered! They gained a star, but they surrendered. Those fuckers. How were you surrounded? Like, some of the zones of control just don't make any sense. There was nothing behind them. I guess they were driven into a river. Maybe that's the logic. Ugh. Man, that drives me crazy. All right, we just drove that enemy armor into a marsh. I know I probably should have used the Stuka early on, but I'll use it to finish him there. So that enemy armor is gone. We'll use these strategic air units over here on the right flank. Again, I don't know how this unit is considered surrounded when there's units directly behind it. Some of the zones of control here seem a little wonky to me. Alright, we'll drive him back. Alright, so we finished. I drove into an encirclement. Like Alright. Drove that anti-tank unit back. Meanwhile, our recon car, our brand new shiny recon car, will drive up here and attack this enemy infantry with 4-to-1 results. Good. Ooh, they got 5-to-1. Very nice. These fighters on the right can't quite reach the enemy over there. They can strafe these cavalry, though. Those infantry, too. Interestingly, somehow they went from red to orange when I hit them with air. So that's kind of an okay. All right. All right, let's buy. Is there any? I wish there was a way to replace your casualties. Like, if I like the thing that you can do in Order of Battle, where you see a unit that was destroyed and then you can replace them or re-raise them. I don't see an option to do anything with the second Wehr, which would be nice, but I don't know if this is just like logging the lost units in the whole history of the Wehrmacht or what. But okay. We'll get another Wehr infantry. We'll give them trucks. I would overstrength them, but I don't have the core slots to do it. We'll deploy them on the right, because I don't think I need them on the left. Enemy armor returns. Alright. So that armor is still hanging around there. Are they within range of my Stukas? Not quite. I can't quite get there. Ooh, 0 to 4. I like those odds. So we'll hit that cavalry on that bridge. These guys can reach the enemy tanks, so we'll suppress them. I'll go ahead and suppress the enemy anti-tank guns. I'll then attack the enemy anti-tank guns with my infantry. Drive them back. I'll bring this armor over here to hit the enemy armor. Okay, so we drove the armor back. We destroyed the enemy anti-tank guns. The armor's down to 4. Can't quite reach any of those guys to strafe. 1 to 6, wow. Alright, let's do this. Let's attack this cavalry there. We drove them back. I can't chase them. Doesn't look like I have the ability to get over there, so I'll just attack this infantry in the marsh here and hopefully finish them off. Yep, got them. Meanwhile, our fighters can strafe the enemy over here. We didn't quite destroy them. And then our armor can kind of move forward here in Kutno. Do a little bit of reconnaissance. Storm Templar, thanks for the follow. We'll move our artillery up this way. We'll need them to help reduce these guys. I'll also need to move this infantry back a little bit. Go ahead and strafe the enemy artillery with our fighters. And I think that probably does it for this turn. Did everybody move? The bridge pioneers didn't. I don't think they're going to be terribly useful in a fight, but we'll move them forward. And that does it for turn number 6. So on to turn number 7. There's an option called reform units for it. You need to mark it before the start. So like before the next battle I might be able to reform them? I haven't seen anything for that yet, but... Alright, so the enemy cavalry moved back onto that base. That's fine. I don't think they're going to do anything there. So we got them. Now I'm going to move this infantry west back toward Kutno. We'll take that base next turn probably, so no worries there. This infantry should be able to finish these guys off. Got them. The enemy armor over there is not in range for my Stuka, I don't think. No. What about for my strategic bomber? No. Okay. So we'll go ahead and hit them with our mobile artillery. Then we'll attack them with our regular armor. And then finish them off over there and overrun them. Also, nice that we overran them because now I can reinforce these guys. And making sure that my armor is as experienced as possible is going to be really important. So one of the things I will very frequently do is spend elite reinforcements on armor. Although maybe not on Pioneers. 446 isn't that high. It's not even 1 star. So I will just use regular reinforcements for those guys. Alright, meanwhile, our Recon car will scout east of the city here. So you can see we've detected enemy infantry here in this fortification. And then some artillery to the rear, 75mm guns. I'm hoping I'm still out of range of them. There's also some strong points here on the fortifications in front of the city. I'm assuming they won't venture out of the city to come attack me. I definitely don't have the strength to attack them yet. Let's move our Stukas up here to hit this enemy artillery. I'm going to move my armor to the east of the city to take the airfield, and then we'll also attack the enemy artillery. I was hoping we would drive the artillery back. It doesn't look like we did that. I'm going to move my Recon Pioneer up here to attack the artillery as well. Again, hoping we drive them back. There, we drove them back. So now I can use my 109s here to strafe them in the open. Maybe finish them off. Nope, not quite. Recon Pioneer may be vulnerable to counterattacks from the troops in the city. So we're going to move our artillery forward here and pound the troops in the city. We're also going to go ahead and move our strategic bombers in here to hit. So at least the effectiveness of these guys should be reduced. They've got 6 suppression here. So any counterattack against these troops should be far less effective. Also, we'll have artillery in support. And I don't think they'll abandon the city to try and attack my more vulnerable artillery. If they do, they're abandoning an objective hex, which seems unlikely. Also, I'm going to give elite reinforcements to my fighters, because, again, experience stars for fighter units specifically I think is very important. And I think that does it for this turn, so we'll move forward to turn number 8. Okay. Alright, so the enemy didn't do anything there. So I'm going to pound the living crap out of them with artillery. I'm going to move these... Do we want to use Strat bombers or Stukas on them? Strat bombers get a 1 suppression. Stukas get a 1 destruction. Let's finish off this enemy artillery with the Stuka. We'll bombard these guys with Strat bombers. So their suppression is now 7. We can move our infantry forward here. Armor also. They're still dug in. That's the challenge here. The Recon Pioneer gets a 3-1 against them. They're not really good infantry. The 3rd Ver will attack. We'll take the 3-2 casualties to root them out. I guess these are enemy engineers, so maybe that makes them better on the defensive. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm not going to take it this turn, so actually it might be better just to reinforce these troops. So we did the 1 attack. Next turn will be a lot more artillery. Alright, so I guess we'll take the objective hex here. I've got to stop in the objective to take it. That's, I think, the dilemma. Meanwhile, this infantry can move forward here. They're still on their trucks, so they're vulnerable, but there's no enemy troops around as far as I can see, so they'll take this airfield. And I will start repositioning my air units forward here to support the drive on Warsaw. Meanwhile, I'm going to reinforce the troops on the right flank here, because I do need them reinforced for the eventual assault on the city. So we spent a whole bunch of prestige there, but we will need these guys at full strength to assault Warsaw proper, rather than waiting for the end of the battle for reinforcements. Alright, so we'll move forward to turn number 9. The enemy didn't do anything. They're not suppressed anymore, but their entrenchments are down to 6. Bombarding them twice reduces their entrenchments to 4. We will hit them with strategic bombers, I think, this time. I'm then going to rebase my Stukas forward here. Alright, 1-3 with my armor there. That's a good result. We drove those troops out of the city proper, so now actually we can advance with our Recon Pioneer, give them a 0-3. Then our other troops can advance here to a 0 to 2. And then if they're still... Nope, they surrendered. Okay, nice. Very good result there for us. We took the city of Kutno. We didn't take too much in the way of casualties. We can swing our artillery rapidly to the east, as we can now quickly shift our focus over to the drive on Warsaw. We'll take the other city here. These guys will reinforce. Recon. All right. We'll move. These guys are pioneers, so they'll actually be good on the offensive against fortifications. But I'm going to work on trying to flank around these fortifications and get into the rear to hit their artillery. I can't quite get there yet, however. I could do these attacks, though. I would like my air units, though, to be involved. We'll use our fighter units there to scout. Looks like we've got quite a bit of infantry here. Not all at full strength. The 7th PL is actually reduced strength. No armor or anything, though, to worry about. All right. So let's end the turn and move forward one more. Oh, just as I say there's no armor, some armor comes from the other side of the river. Fortunately for us, 3 to 1. That's a pretty good result. Artillery bombardment. I don't know why they would attack out of fortifications with their infantry. Yeah, they inflicted 2 casualties, but they lost 3 with troops who should be heavily dug in. Okay, so this Stuka up here is going to move forward here and bomb this enemy armor on the flank. That's what Stukas are best at. The strategic bomber will need to rebase. But he can't rebase there? Great. This airfield's too small. I guess he can move over here. He can probably hit from that flank. So I guess I'll have to use fighters then. We'll strafe the enemy artillery to weaken them a little bit. 3 suppression damage from what? Oh, there's an anti-aircraft gun on the other side of the river. Okay. Alright, so our armor will attack this enemy armor. Drove them back. Our engineers... Actually, let's wait. I'm not going to... 1 to 3. I'll take 1 to 3. I'd rather not have our... 1 to 3 again. Nice. Well, that was painless. Pull them back. We just knocked an enemy out of a fortification that was heavily dug in by forcing them to surrender. Again, with plenty of retreat in the rear. I don't quite understand the zones of control at times in this game. Alright, so we'll move forward here. These troops... I think we moved all our air units. Let's move these troops out this way. We're leaving Kutno unguarded. I think it's relatively safe to do that. Move our wagon troops forward. Alright, so we're stacking up on the northern end of the line, away from their fortifications and their strong point. No indication of enemy troops up here in the north, so we might be able to flank and take portions of the city relatively easily. As we move forward to turn number 11. Alright, so they did launch some artillery against our infantry there, but they didn't really do any damage. Let's use our Stuka here against this enemy artillery. We'll weaken them. Should be able to destroy them with this attack. We did. We overran them too, so now we can pursue and attack this enemy armor unit, and we destroy them too. Now we could keep attacking with this armored unit, but I'd rather actually reinforce. So we destroyed 2 units and then we reinforced. A very good result for these guys. the 5th Panzer. Now, this enemy fortification I would like to reduce. So we're going to go ahead and move up here, get our artillery into position for them. We'll get our artillery down this direction as well. First Pioneers will move into position. We're going to hit them with 2 engineer units. One from the south, one from the north. But I'm not going to move the engineers in there quite yet because they'll take casualties if I move them in there. Also, these troops are too dug in to assault frontally, so we're going to pause on the southern flank for a turn to reinforce some of our troops. Meanwhile, I think I'm going to hit these guys with Strat bombers to suppress them a little bit. Start the work of wearing them down. Hit them with artillery too. Catch 22er, thank you very much for the follow. It's appreciated. All right. So we did our Stuka move? Yeah, our Stuka moved, our Strat bombers moved. These guys can't really strafe effectively because they're inside the range of enemy flak. So they'll remain where they are. We'll swing these troops from the east forward. Actually, undo that. These guys had one more hex they could move. And that should do it for the turn. Still more troops in the south that can move, but again, we're waiting for a coordinated assault on that strong point. I think we get a bonus for destroying the strong point. It seemed to suggest it was a secondary objective before the battle. So we'll wait on that, and we'll go ahead and end turn and move forward to turn number 12. We still have 3 more objectives. The enemy did launch. It looks like this infantry is going to move forward here and attack our artillery, which is exposed. I didn't expect them to do that. But now their infantry is very much in the open. We should be able to overrun them pretty easily. I can even move this armor forward and crush them. Looks like the Stuka's not going to do any damage there. The Strat bomber probably won't either. Move our Pioneers here. Actually, these guys get 0 to 4. They're also encircled. My Stukas can do some damage there. Let's move that armor forward. 0 to 2. It says they're encircled. We'll see where they can retreat, because I'm assuming they'll retreat. Yeah. Second Ver will attack there. Probably finish them off. They did. Good. Good result with that. We didn't use our artillery there either, so we can go ahead and move there and pound them with this. Didn't actually do anything as far as I can tell, but maybe it'll lower their morale or something. I don't know. All right. Baldwin 41185. Thank you very much for the subscription. All right, so we attacked with our Pioneers there. We'll attack with these Pioneers. Pioneers on each flank. Armor coming in behind him. You'd think the fortification might consider surrendering. Guys, you have no hope. No? You don't want to surrender to me? Those jerks. All right, we'll move forward here and take this objective. Well, I guess not really an objective, but a portion of the city. So we've taken the northern suburbs. Or something. Then our armor can swing around here. Morale drop. Warsaw defenders have suffered a temporary morale drop due to the strongpoint destruction. So I was right. It is a secondary objective there. Now, maybe I would have been better off waiting to do it next turn. I'm not quite sure if that morale drop, like how that'll take effect. But in any event, I think that's good. We'll see if it lasts more than a turn or if it's literally just the remainder of the turn. The secondary objectives could be explained a little bit better. Yeah, it looks like the morale drop went away because they're all white again. All right. Let's move forward with our artillery and reduce these guys in the north. Actually, I would rather move infantry forward. Too bad I can't undo that. So we go ahead and hit them with artillery. We hit them with 3 units of artillery. These guys are heavily suppressed. 8 suppression. Can our strat bombers do anything? 1 more suppression. We will lose, it looks like, 3 suppression ourselves from the enemy flak, but the unit didn't get destroyed, which is kind of the important thing. No actual casualties. So we get a 2 to 6 there. We actually drove them back. We'll pursue with armor. We'll take some casualties here, but we will drive them back as well. Further. Now these bridge pioneers can cross the river and attack. And force them to surrender. Wow! That was a great result there, that sequence of attacks. Relatively light casualties, too. So now we can pivot our other troops around to this other objective, this bridge on the south. Probably hit them next turn. And maybe knock them out. Although a counterattack there looks like it... Well, that may just be because they're so well dug in. I was going to say, a counterattack looks like there it might be pretty devastating. Also, I could move these bridge pioneers onto the river so then I can swing these other troops north and around to hit the enemy flak to try and get our air units a little bit more involved in this attack. We started the battle with 2,000 prestige. We're at 1,300 now. Our bonus for victory is only 28% now as we close in on the end of the battle, but we still have a few turns left. I don't think there's any real risk that we won't win this thing. Alright, so we'll move these guys down here, so they're not on the river. So we can move troops across. Alright, these guys can attack at a 1 to 5 and a 0 to 2. It's also a supply center. So that enemy flak is basically gone. Well, now they're gone. So we destroyed that enemy flak. We took the airfield to the north. And now there's just the 1 enemy unit left, which we are going to not take out this turn, but we will start the work of suppressing them. Well, we could actually potentially go after them. I really find strategic bombers actually useful in this game, which in most of like the Panzer General type games in the past I didn't. That wasn't typically the case in my opinion. But I think using them for suppression in this game can be very effective. We could probably overrun them with a 2 to 7 here and then use our recon to attack and then maybe move this armor in as well. But I don't feel the need to rush. I think we'll go 1 more turn and see if we can't do it more cheaply. So 14. We'll hit them with strat bombers first. Self-propelled artillery. These guns here. So they're suppressed at level 9. 0 to 5. 0 to 7. Wow. So the Pioneers attack there very effectively. Move this recon north. Should give them a 0 to 3. Probably will force them to surrender. Take that objective. Take this objective. I'm assuming there's nothing else I want to do. Yeah, that was a pretty cheap victory there. As we knock out Warsaw, win another battle. Another victory. Huzzah! Warsaw has fallen. We can see here the 13th DO-17Z Strat Bomber, the most effective unit. It inflicted 3 casualties, which were worth 37 prestige. It lost nothing, and so a 37 to 0 kill to death ratio. Now, that's a little misleading. I really wish it also factored in suppression cost, because there's a lot of units that would be like this flak down here. It's like, oh, well, it lost a few casualties, so it's not an effective unit. It's like, well, that's telling the wrong story, because there's definitely a benefit to suppression, and the game really doesn't factor that in. but at least when it comes to saying, like, your kill-to-death ratio. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was taken from a live stream on my channel from just the other day, and we won the Battle of Warsaw. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, I'm out.